Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new Paint and Talk. And this time I want to talk about a topic, again started by Vince Venturello, the topic of the week. But I find this is quite interesting topic, this what can be considered to be a good unit. And I will say, sometimes I'm thinking that maybe we are using the wrong word, and I'm using it as well, as a good unit or bad unit. But I will say that what we look for is what is the most efficient unit in principle. When we talk about that, most of the time we're thinking what is the most efficient unit. And I will say that a good unit, as it is not, so a good unit isolated cannot be a good or bad unit. So you have to compare, and you have to see this unit within an army, or within a, normally an army. If we talk Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar, 9th Age and 40k. And I will go more to 40k where I have more experience. Age of Sigmar is also good, but I think on 40k is where we have more variables, and there we can have we can talk more about what is a good unit. So, as I will say, for me, when we say what is a good unit, is what is the most efficient unit for a determined function. So what is the unit that for the same limit cost of points is giving you the max on the battlefield? Okay, and here, it's not easy answer because it depends a lot on how your list is built up and what is the functions that you need in your army. So it's I always consider the army to be, you have to have when you're building an army, you cannot just put there the best units or the ones that are considered the best units in the net, put them together and it will work. No, because you need some synergies between units. You need to accomplish some different roles on the battlefield. So let me put an example, okay? So we can have a unit that is extremely, and then of course depending on the battle, and here is I will go to, depending on the game, a unit that is in principle very good can be very bad, because can be that the enemy is not using the unit, or you cannot use this unit for the purpose that you have it on the battlefield. Let's put an example. Imagine that you put an anti-vehicle unit that is super cheap. Okay, it's the best anti-vehicle unit in the game because it's the one that you pay less points, and it gives you an enemy vehicle killed. So it guarantees you that you will kill an enemy vehicle. But then suddenly your enemy is using horse. So you will up with this battle, finding that this unit is the worst unit ever because you cannot use the potential of this unit. So a good unit or bad unit will depend on how your army is built up, will depend on how you want to play, and will depend also on what type of on what army the enemy is playing. So, and here we have first different definitions. For example, we need to think when you, and a lot are personal choices, okay? So normally what we see on the games is specialized units, okay, give more efficiency of points for the specialized function. For example, if I have a unit that is specialized in vehicles, normally will be cheaper and will be more efficient than if I try to do the same with a unit that can kill vehicles, can kill infantry, and can kill different types of things. Let's put another example from 40k. The multi-melta, and today is, the multi-melta is really specialized today, and in the past was specialized on vehicles, is specialized to remove or to attack enemies with multiple wounds. But if the enemy is using horse and you use the multi-melta against horse, this multi-melta is useless because it's not giving you advantage. It's better to have, for example, heavy bolter. On the other side, if you have a heavy bolter, a unit with heavy bolters, it's very efficient against horse, or can be very efficient against horse, but can be very bad, will be very bad against multiple wound enemies. So here is, so there is not easy. So also it depends a lot on how you build up your army, right? So imagine that you have a very good close combat unit, but this unit in 40k needs a way to deliver. So you need a transport. If you don't have the transport in your army, this unit will be garbage because will not reach the close combat. So you also need to see the unit how you will use this unit in your army, right? So, but let's go back then. So a good unit, it depends on the function that you need. So you need to think, and it depends on how specific or how specialized is the unit. So, and here is where the question comes difficult, right? When you go to a tournament, you want an army that can deal with multiple types of enemies, can deal with multiple types of lists, of armies. So you want an army that is flexible, or you want an army that is specialized, but this specialization helps you to deal with several types of enemies. So for example, if I'm focused on a horde army, you need hordes that are, or you need units that they give you a lot of models for cheap price. So most likely you have to take carefully how many elite units you will take, because this will go against the philosophy of your list, right? So in that case, good units most of the times are going to be these units that they give you a lot of numbers for low cost. On the other side, if you are going for shooting, for example, and you want an army specialized on shooting, you want these units that give you more shooting for the less cost. So what I mean is, not a good unit is good for everybody and for every army, and you have to take this into account. So what you want at the end is what is the unit that can do the job that you need the cheapest. And here is how I will define good units. So it's how you get this job done for the lowest costing points. Then, of course, within this all these definitions, we have sometimes units that are considered auto-include, or are considered super good or overpowered. What this happens because normally these are units that can deal with multiple types of of threats with a very low cost. Let's put an example that was very clear for me in 7th edition Warhammer 40k. The Dread Knight was a clear example of a unit considered overpowered. Why? Because this unit was able to deal with vehicles, was able to deal with infantry, was able to deal with anything, and the cost was quite low compared to other units that were doing the same job. So this makes that this unit is super efficient because can deal a lot of different roles on the battlefield, and on top the points is lower than other units doing the same type of role. So this is when I say this is a very good unit, is why they say the people start saying is overpowered. And normally this unit needs to be increasing points. There are other units that can be overpowered because they have a weapon or an ability that is making it to be more efficient or be more powerful than other units with the same points. And there were weapons, and in this case in 40k we have seen weapons, especially in 7th edition, that were the deep weapons, that because of the rules they were overpowered, especially if, and I was thinking that these units were very difficult to balance, because the rule was so extreme that makes a unit almost impossible to balance, because if you go a little bit too high on points, then you have to go really high on points to make it not to be efficient. So, and I think, yeah, I think this is for me the definition. So I will say, more than what is a good unit, I will always think what is the unit that can do the job that you want for lower cost. And then also check when they say an auto-include, why is an auto-include unit? Is because can do any type of role for very low cost. There are some exceptions and some units that normally do that. Or it's because a unit that, for example, all armies will need an anti-vehicle, and yeah, if you want an anti-vehicle, this is the cheapest anti-vehicle that you can find in the army. Then there are armies that are extremely inefficient and people stop using them. Or they have rules that make them not to be efficient. For example, and I go into 40k, okay? So we have the mutilators. This was to be a close combat unit. It's a unit that they have not shooting, it's close combat. But at the same time is a very slow unit. So it has a rule that it's making the unit completely inefficient, because this unit cannot do the role that it's supposed to do. Because if you want a close combat unit, you want a unit that is fast, can be deployed fast to the enemy, can go into the face of the enemy, and can do the job. But if you make this unit at the same time very slow, it makes very difficult to do this job. Especially in 9th edition, when you were doing deep strike, you were not able to assault. On the other side, we have a unit called obliterators. They were almost the same, but they were the shooting version. And on top, you were able to decide what type of weapon you wanted to shoot each turn, making the unit extremely efficient and almost an auto-include, because it was a unit that were able to deal with multiple types of threats. So this way I say, these are cases of units that, because of the rules, they can be overpowered or auto-include, and other units that are completely inefficient. But then the other units most likely will fall up more on the gray zone. So it can be very useful or not, depending on how you organize your army, on how your enemy plays, and and sometimes on how the battlefield is set up. So yeah, I like to use, I try to make super efficient units when I'm building up my army. Normally I don't care, to be fair. Normally what I try to do when I do my army, I take the units that I like, but I try to take them in a way that makes sense. So I try to organize not a group of miniatures, I try to organize an army that have synergies and have one unit can cover the holes of the other unit, or what the other unit cannot do. So I try to have different roles on my army, so in a way I can deal with multiple type of threats. But I'm not looking for the unit that can do this work more efficiently. Normally I use the unit that I paint, and I paint what I like to paint. So this can happen that sometimes my army maybe is not super well balanced, because I'm missing the unit that will be the good support, but I have not painted that because maybe I don't like it, or I didn't have time, and yeah, it's not going to be included in my army list. So normally when I do even for tournaments, I don't care what is the most efficient. I just care what type of army I want to play, and then from there I try to organize the most balanced, or the most, we'll say, competitive in brackets, or in army that I can do with this type of combination of troops. But yeah, my list will not be optimized in terms of tournament standards. So yeah, I think this is all what I want to talk here. So just to recap, for me, what is a good unit? I think we use the wrong terminology there. We have to think what is the most efficient unit, on what is what are the most efficient units for the type of role, or for the type of work that you want this unit to do on the battlefield. And normally try to be specific on the type of roles that you want on the battlefield. Because at the end, yeah, if you say, I want to kill enemies, yes, this is the role of all the units in principle, but you have to think, well, and it's not true always. For example, now in 9th edition Warhammer 40k, one of the better units, or the most efficient units, are the conscripts from the Imperial Guard. And these are garbage in terms of stats, but they are so cheap that you can put tons of them, and then there are some rules that allow you to increase or to make them unbreakable. So thanks to this combination, this unit is becoming one of the best units to target the enemy and to protect your army. So the role is very clear, is to target the enemy and avoid the enemy can reach other assets from your army. And on top, there are so many, but although they are garbage, you are going to roll so many dice that you are going to do damage on the opponent, right? So this is an example of a unit that a priori is not good, or have not good stats, okay? But it's very efficient because it has a very clear role on the battlefield, and it does that very cheap. So yeah, I think that's all. Please let me know what do you think, and let me know if you agree with me that is not really what is for me the definition of good unit is the unit that do the work at the lower cost possible, or the most efficient unit for a type of job at the end. So that's all for now. Please let me know what do you think. Leave the comments below. Give a like if you have liked the chat. And as usual, thanks a lot for watching and see you later. Bye.